In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the JavaScript SDK and in particular the app service, which is only available inside the builder and published apps. So to show this, I'm going to click Help in the top right hand corner and I'm going to open the JavaScript SDK documentation just so that you can see what the SDK provides out of the box. So the SDK is platform agnostic, so you can use it in your own JavaScript projects or front-end projects if you want. But basically, we import the SDK and it gives us all of these services and tools, including the access controller where we can check if a user can do a particular action and find out what permissions. We've got like functions like where we check, can the user create this thing, can it delete this thing, can it edit this thing, all of those kind of things. Then we have the API, which is fundamentally a wrapper around the Axios service, which we can make GET requests, patch requests, post requests, put requests. It's got a couple of things like generating endpoint URLs so that you can ensure that your access token is valid and you can link people out to other things in the API. We've got auth, which is where you can log in, log out, get credentials, update your tokens and get your tokens and your details about the user and things like that. There's a cache utility. There's some really helpful content, create, delete, read, etc. functions where you can pass through new data and it'll add it in the back end and give you the response. Creating media URLs for files and images and things like that, connecting to sockets, understanding them, and some system functions like listing all of the countries and time zones and all that kind of stuff. So as a whole, there's a whole bunch of really helpful services for interacting with the platform. But in particular, what we want to talk about is in the interface builder, we have an extra service that's tacked on to the SDK that allows us to get information about our app and navigate around our app. So to show this, I'm going to click the block market and I'm going to add the custom code block into our route. And there's some like defaults here. If you haven't used the custom code block before, it basically lets me use JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, and it's essentially a way of building Vue 3 single file components, if you know what they are. So to start with, I'm just going to get rid of the CSS on this thing, get rid of all of the default junk, and I'm probably just going to get rid of all this stuff too. Just have a basic function that kind of just has a basic component that has nothing in it. And here, let's see what details we have in the SDK app service. So to start with, I'm just going to create a pre-tag and I'm going to print the SDK.app, and it's going to tell me that it can't actually spit that out as JSON. So let's look at some of the services. The first one that's really interesting is the SDK.app.route, and you can see here that shows me the details about the current route that I'm on. And if I change the route to the About Us page, actually we'll change back because I put this on the page. What I'm going to do is move this up into the header so it's on every page. And if I switch to the About Us page, you'll see it shows me the title of the route I'm on, the ID of the route I'm on. It also has parameters and query string. Now these are going to be a little bit trickier to illustrate in the browser without creating a dynamic route, but we'll do another video about that. But you can see there's quite a few options in here. There's quite a bit of information in here, including whether the route's loaded, its external like references and things like that. One of the other services that's helpful is the menus service, which you can see here there are no menus at the moment, but if we go to menus and we create something like a primary nav, and then maybe add an item of like the home page and put that in the home page there, you can see it's starting to show that primary nav. And if we created another menu, let's call it the footer nav, you would see, let's call it privacy policy. Let's just choose that. You can see here that where we're printing out the menus, we have a keyed object of all of the details about the menus that are available in our interface. So that's another helpful service that you can use to if you want to print out a particular menu, what's called primary nav and its items, or yeah. We also have the user. So if we have logged in to our application, so let's put a user sign up on here. We can do a test sign up. So we'll just do testing tutorial.com, just a password. If we sign up here, then we might need to also put a notifications thing in here so that we can see what's going on. Invalid password. I need to put a better password. Let's try that. Sign up. So what that will do is that will sign us in, and now we've got test, which means up in our custom code block where we spin this out, we should be able to spit out the user. And you can see here that it shows us all the details about the current logged in user, their permissions, when they logged in, what their name is, and stuff like that. And so if we log out, you'll see that that user disappears, and that is because there is no user object. We also have the device service, which here you can see gives us some details about the width of the screen of the user. So you can see like that's getting smaller. We also have the limitations which we can set of the breakpoints. And then here, breakpoints also gives us some variables that we can track and write if statements based on the size and the dimensions of the screen. So like if we move this down to a mobile, you can see that breakpoint.xs is true, xs only would be true, and then sm and down would be true, and the others, kind of false. Whereas as it goes up, it's like now it is sm, and if you went larger, it's md. If you went really large, it'd be lg, xl, etc. So you can use these breakpoints and show and hide different things programmatically based on the device breakpoint. So that's a really handy service as well. Then we have the application, and so I don't actually know whether I've got an application set up for this. So if I click the emulation settings up here, if I choose an app, so I'll just choose the Qik website app, then this should, if we just refresh that, it'll actually show us the details about the app and its access token and any other extra details. So we could get access to the application's data when it's being actually published and released. And then there's some other things like functions. So let's say we had a div here and we said put an A tag, click here to go to the home page. We could change this to a UX link. Actually, no, we'll just leave this as an A tag to illustrate the point. We'll add a click and we'll add a method up here, methods, and we'll say like clicked. This can be clicked, and here we can access the SDK as well. So we'll do sdk.app.to, and here we can navigate to a particular route if we want to. So we can navigate to the home page. So if we click here, that should take us to the home page, which is exactly what it did.